This is Jonathan St. James, and you're listening to The Truth is Still Straight podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Jonathan St. James, and once again, The Truth is Still Straight podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Appreciate the applause. Even though Sister Millie from the West Coast is always hating on the applause from the studio audience. Of course, virtual studio, of course. But Boo of the Week, because I have no one, once again, will be Sister Millie from the West Coast. I think she's going for a Guinness Book of World Record. So Sister Millie for the West Coast, this boo is for you. No, I don't really have a boo for Sister Millie. I just like that she busts my chops every time I give her a boo. And I'm sure she'll bust my chops this time. All right, folks. So I got to give a shout out to all the new subscribers and the hardcore supporters of the show that I appreciate. And also, thank you very much for your support and your subscribing. And those people are Pedro Falcone, Tatiana Cruz, Lee Jones, Tessie, Sister Millie from the West Coast, V, Mr. Wilkes, Mahir, Milton Gonzalez, Beverly, Snotty, Reggie, Courtney, K-Law, RJ, Latoya, Shilia, Michael Thomas, Darrell, Big G Galloway, Sam T, James Wilson, Tyrone Biggs, Terrence Meir, JD Whitelaw, Julian Flournoy, Kid Vegas 8402, Eric Jordan, Michael McCreary, Kenny Alpha, Jario, Kane Major, Kondalini Lee, Marcus A. Morris, Heath, 313 Money Team, Still Sharp and Steel, Stefan, and last but not least, Plug 2. Thank you for your subscription and your support to the show. Now, folks, I'm going to get right into it because it's so hot in this studio here. I don't have AC in this particular room where I record in. That's something I got to invest in hopefully soon because it is quite boiling up in here. Not as bad. I do have a fan in here, but, you know, I'll get the climate control down real soon. It wasn't this hot last year, but here we are again. All right, folks. So we're going to start the show. And today is we're going to get to it with that Kevin Samuels reaction. Of course, I'm going to try to do as much as possible to keep this conversation going. For those of you know, I am a fan of Kevin Samuels. I like what he said. Didn't always agree in the methods, but the words that he used, the arguments, definitely on point and can't argue with logic. So this particular show is called Who Matters? And it's from episode July 6, 2021. And in this particular one, he asked a woman if she is pretty enough to matter to men. And we're going to get her reaction. So let's get right to it. Let me cue it up. Make sure that audio is ready. And it is. And here we go.
You're saying it.
Hi. Sorry. Let me turn on some light.
You got to turn off the. You have to turn off the TV in the background.
Turn that TV off.
Yes, I did. Hi.
Hello. Let me.
How
let
are
me
you?
turn it on. I'm okay. How old are you?
I am 34.
All right.
Wow.
So we're talking about pretty privilege. Are you single?
I'm dating.
Single meaning unmarried.
Right. Yes.
Okay. So for everybody who's going in, single simply means unmarried.
Okay.
If you're not married, you're single.
Oh my.
Yeah, ladies, whatever you file in your taxes, that's what he's asking.
Dating.
Okay. Fair.
You any children?
I have one.
Okay. So disagreement issue. What? What's the problem with pretty privilege?
I do think it exists.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I would be ready to fight multiple women for it.
Okay.
What?
Well, how old is your child?
She'll be
35.
12 next month.
Okay. So let me reverse this. Then why should a man be competitive for you?
Why I should have made. That's a good question.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that I bring good qualities.
Okay.
Um,
So do those other men. Everything you're gonna
you're
say to men, did.
you're right.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to disagree. You're right.
Right. Hmm.
But I think it just becomes
But I'm a woman and I'm entitled.
I don't think so much entitled, but I think sometimes it can be degrading um
Then get a girlfriend.
having I'm sorry, say again.
Then get a girlfriend.
I don't want
Oh
a
my.
girlfriend.
Look, ma'am, let's take it away from you.
Okay.
And let's go to the animal kingdom. Okay?
Okay.
The males of any species has to fight to reproduce, right? Hold on. True or false?
You're
Facts.
correct.
So every male that wants to have sex with a female just doesn't free access. He has to earn it, right?
Correct.
And in order to keep reproducing, he has to continue to fight, right?
After he already gets her?
Yes, every season, when a woman comes into season, there
Okay,
are
I thought
new male challengers to come along, right?
Except the
This is
lion.
the
correct.
Lion King.
No,
Correct.
Disney showed us this. So every
Correct.
season,
that's not necessarily true when it comes to lions. If the lion, so what does happen when it comes to lions? I'm going to try to keep this real short because I know you people prefer to hear Kevin Samuels over me, so I'll keep this short. Generally speaking, the lion, the dominant lion does most of the procreating. Usually the other lion is a brother, so may mate with other lions that the dominant lion doesn't mate with. But it's very rare that they fight for supremacy. Another group, I forget what they call them when it's another group of lions that try to invade. I forget what it's called, but whatever they're called, that happens from time to time. But most of the time it doesn't because the pride generally attacks roving males that try to impede upon the pride. But okay.
so, and as long as he can win, he can mate, right?
Correct.
The women don't mate with the men who don't win, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
He
I'm
loses,
following.
can he mate? If he loses, does he continue to get to mate?
No.
Right. So men have to compete. Women have to
So I
submit.
gotta compete.
No, women have to submit. But see, here's the thing. The lionesses do 90% of the hunting. And they do all the raising of the kids. And the men are out doing what they gotta do. And they come home and you got the gazelle and the antelope and the wildebeest maid. And the only time I need to get up is if I need to go slap that water buffalo or fuck with them hyenas. Outside of that,
Correct.
leave me alone and keep them kids over there. And then when you're in the mood, get your aunties and your cub sisters to keep these kids, and we're gonna go over here and have sex for 4 days straight. You ever had sex for 4 days straight?
Not straight now.
Straight. Every,
Not straight.
take a 12, 15,
That's a
20-minute
lot.
break. But that's the lion. But see, you understand that, and what comes along with that. There are more lionesses than lions. So I say all that to say, y'all act like what y'all have to do is so damn difficult, and what we're supposed to do is just expect it.
No, I don't think that is difficult per
Okay?
se, but I do think that at some point, when do you see my value? Like, how long do I have to keep competing and uh
Until you die.
all
Until you
oh my
die.
God, I
I don't
die.
know about that, Kevin. I don't know about that. I just want to talk about that. So, this is the big dilemma when women talk about their value. A lot of time, these women who come on Kevin's show, they think that men are supposed to see the value in the things that women value. So, what women see in men in terms of value, and they possess those things, women think that it is of equal value to men. But if you watch a lot of these discussions when we talk about marriages and relationships between the dynamics of men and women, men who provide especially, that what a woman brings to the table professionally doesn't often factor into their relationship, as a male provider is paying the majority of the bills and taking care of the household financially. So what you're doing, bringing in bank, is not really helping the marriage or the relationship. It's really you helping yourself. So if you're taking care of yourself, or you're paying into your account that you have to take care of yourself in case it doesn't work out, a lot of times what happens is that doesn't add any value to the relationship. So what a guy's looking for in a relationship is not the same thing that a woman is looking from a man. And that's why these women get it twisted. Now, I'm not sure if that's where she's getting at in terms of value, but let's see.
Yeah. Were your mother and father married?
Yeah.
Were your grandparents married?
Yeah.
How long were your grandparents married?
They're still married. I mean, they're well in their 80s, so it's been 50 plus years.
Long time.
Okay. Your grandmother still competes for your grandfather every day. Does she know what he
Not from
likes?
other women, though.
But she still competes.
With
She
who?
knows what he, well, have you ever sat down and asked your grandmother what it's like to try to keep your grandfather?
Yes, there's been stories of he was a high value man. He was in the community and all that stuff, and she
So
did
she had
tell
to compete
stories.
to keep him.
Not keep, because she had him, but there were other women that she would have to, put them in their place if she felt disrespected, stuff like that.
That's
But
fighting to keep him.
Stupid.
Man, okay. The way
okay.
a woman keeps a man is you keep him happy and keep him coming home. So your grandparents are married. Your parents are married. You have a child. Why aren't you married at this point? Because you have the kid already.
Right.
Why not? So you
He
saw
wasn't
the
high
pattern.
valued, and I wasn't competing.
Okay, but see, why have the baby?
You're right. I was young and dumb. You're right.
You
Oh, hell no.
So let's do a little bit of math there. She says she was 34, child about to be 12, 34 minus 12 is 22. Not quite that young. It's interesting how women use age as a reason to justify the mistakes they've made in relationships. Young to me is 17, 16, something like that, even 18, 19. By the time you're 22 years old, I mean, not to say that you're going to be perfect by then, but you should have an idea of what to do and what not to do at that point. And that's not pretty young, not to be able to say, well, I shouldn't have kids with a guy that is not worth having kids by, because that's what she said. It wasn't high value and she wasn't competing.
you went to sex ed. You were old enough to know what happens. You can't keep giving y'all excuses for being young and dumb. You were reckless.
Bruh.
Correct.
So now, do you ever want to get married?
I'm on the
Nope.
fence, but yes.
Okay. Do you want any more children?
No.
Wow.
Then if men marry for legacy, that means
You're right.
there's no reason to marry a woman like you, especially since you have a kid. See, what we have to stop doing is, if you came from a mother and father who were married and grandparents who were married, your goal should have been to be like them and to have a man for your lifetime, not be unmarried, unattached, and have to worry about these decisions in your 30s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What happened there?
Changing off the Wi-Fi, I don't know, sometimes it happens. So
Let me stop it there. I just want to comment on something that she said. Now, this goes, and I don't think it's ignorance on her part, but I think there's an awareness of who she is as a person and understanding what her atmosphere and environment is like. So she says she was on the fence of getting married, but it wanted to, but it wasn't really committed. Yes. Well, a lot of people like that, they tend to know where they're at in life. And, I have some friends where they kind of know, they're not finding what they're looking for in their mind. I'm not going to say that's reality, but in their mind. And so they sort of build up their lifestyle, understanding that they're not going to find it and want to find it and hope they find it, but really won't put in any effort to do it. And that's really what the main problem is. And I say half of the time, that's the battle right there, is women being able to project their interest in men, again, because they don't want to appear like they're thirsty, and they throwing themselves at men, and also communicating that sentiment without communicating. It's very easy. Women that have been interested in me have never said they were interested in me, but they've done things to show me and actually sort of played that role to get me to approach them, to talk to them, to ask them out on a date, to get their phone number, to communicate further and see where these things go. That's very simple things that you can do. You don't have to throw yourself at a man, even if you want to. Then you say you're just desperate and you wanted to throw yourself at a man. You don't really have to. You can kind of set the tone for a guy to approach you and make it happen. She's relatively attractive. I don't know what's going on with that hair, but she's relatively attractive. Not out of the realm of, finding someone at her age. And it's not easy after you get a certain age and you have kids and stuff like that and don't want any kids. That's a slightly difficult if a man doesn't have kids or at the least wants kids. So
Yes. Okay.
So
That's not me. Okay.
So all things being equal, if you don't want to be married, what does that mean? You're going to be a single woman for the rest of your life.
mm-hmm.
Yes,
That's
but
what
I
it
feel like
means.
I won't be alone.
Who are you gonna be with?
Okay. All right. Well, let's explore that then. How long have you been watching my content?
Months. It's been a while.
At 40, the happiness curve inverts for men and women. Happiness for women are the most happy in their 20s, in their 30s, but at 40, it starts to go down this way. For men, it starts to go like this, because at our 20s, we're at the bottom of our earning potential. At 40, you don't see many women who are silver foxes and being sought after by everybody. That happens with men. So show me where unmarried women 45 plus are the majority and happy.
Your Wi-Fi was going out. I didn't hear the ending of your
I was saying,
question.
show me where women you don't alone. Man, where do you see
Roy, Kevin.
older women?
Kevin had that Boost Mobile Wi-Fi that episode.
Is it me or is it you? Because you're not clear.
No,
I don't know. It shouldn't be me.
it is you, Kevin.
I have one. Let's see. Hold on.
Wherever you're watching from. Wow.
What would you rank yourself on a scale from 1 to 10?
Okay.
You
trying
cannot
to be
use
polite,
All right, so
man, but
I'm asking you a very simple question.
Okay.
You don't feel like you'll be unmarried, you'll be single, but you won't be alone. So that means you'll have a man?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Happiness for men and women at 40 flips. Where do you see where women over 45 years old, where they're single and they're happy? What do you see that is the majority of women over 40?
I have seen quite a few.
Okay.
Quite a few.
The majority, not handfuls, not anecdotal.
Then maybe I haven't. I mean,
Because
but
it's not
I
the
have.
norm. It's not the norm, man. Right now, you're still young enough to where it's makes sense to you. But
Oh, Kevin.
it's going to be like.
Oh, Kevin.
What do you think?
I think. What did
Oh,
you ask?
goodness.
Your thing is going in and out.
I don't
This
know why it
thing
keeps
is going in and out.
in
Oh, my.
All right. I don't know what's going on because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 bars here.
You're clear now. You're clear now.
1, 2, 3, 4 bars. I said where do you go and you see where there are women who are happy? And I said, I want to age you up 20 years, and I want to see where you see a bunch of seniors who are senior women who are dating and happy.
No.
I've seen in the 40s now. I can't speak any.
So here's the thing. I want to keep this real. And ladies, they like to compete against each other for who's in the better situation. So you can't always gauge that by women that claim that they're happy and not in a relationship. Because I know women who were miserable, and when they got around their friends, despite the fact that I knew all these women were in, let's say it was a group of 4 or 5, and I knew every last one of those women were in bad situations. But when they got around their women friends, all of them bragging, my husband this, my husband that. I'm like, are you kidding me? I just finished talking to you the other day, and you finished telling me how horrible things were at home.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
So I know that happens, that, a lot of people, especially women, I don't know if guys do it among each other. I've never really had a guy to try to pretend something was happening that was not, but it's possible. I just haven't met many. Most guys tend to be honest about whatever's going on wrong with them, whether it's at the hands of themselves or at the hand of somebody else. But hopefully we can get a good last few minutes from here.
Anything higher than that? No, I haven't. They're married or widowed.
Because, man,
It doesn't exist.
no.
Okay.
I mean, if it did, because there are plenty of older women, but they're not happy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you're saying you don't want to have to compete. Okay, great. That's a choice you've made. You've chosen.
I don't mind competing. My thing would just be, you answered it. When does it end? But you answered it. It never does.
When does a man have to stop being a man for a woman? When does a man get to put his masculinity down?
Never.
See, I don't know
But
why
does
you
he always have to be masculine at all times if he has?
You want a man that's not? You want a man that puts his masculinity down?
I don't think masculine. I just don't think the competing would have to be forever. I want you to always be a man, yes. But I just don't.
I'm gonna just stop there. I think she's not understanding, because he's saying masculine. But what he's saying is you don't allow the man to stop being a man. He's not gonna, whatever he's doing that you appreciated him for, can he stop doing it and you still be appreciative of him? If he'd stop doing this very same things that you admired him for, I think that's the point that he's trying to talk about, being masculine, because women are attracted to men for masculine reasons. And if they stop doing those things, will you still have the same affinity for someone who stopped doing it? A lot of times on these podcasts, they ask women, if you met a man and you found out he was having sex with other men, would you deal with that guy after you found out? When you knew that he was having sex with men at some point in his life, would you still be interested in him? And most women say no. They don't want to deal with a guy that had sex with other men. So that's kind of the point there. So if he starts doing things that attracted you to him, would you be okay with that? And I think Kevin is right on that.
I guess I don't understand. What are you competing for once you have me?
So isn't this what women tend to complain about? Once a man has you, then he gets complacent.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Isn't this what women tend to complain about? Once he got me, he don't do nothing anymore. He don't take me out. He don't do this. He don't do that.
That's what women complain about. That is true.
My question is, why are you modern women so lazy? I mean, you already have a child, so it's already difficult enough to date because because you don't have a kid. Your parents are married. Your grandparents are married. And you're openly choosing to say, well, I want to go through the rest of life by myself because sounds like having a man is too hard.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
No, where did you get that? I said it was too hard.
Well, you don't want to compete. You said you don't want to compete. Keep competing. And I don't understand why that's such a problem.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Maybe that is something I need to think about more. I just know that I understand that I have to compete in the dating when I'm dating you.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I
But there
have to
should be a
stand
point in
out.
time when I can quit and just relax.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you ever relax, but I also don't think that if I have to keep worrying about other women, then I feel like
Wait. That is not what he said. That is not what he said. Here's what he's saying to you. Competing is not the same thing as worrying. Competing means you understand the ability, there's other people in the world, just like there are other men, there are other women in the world. So if this guy is somebody you really value, you should treat him as if you're afraid to lose him. That's what we talk that men should be doing for women, right? They should be doing the same thing that attracted a woman to keep a woman. That is what he's saying. Competing doesn't necessarily mean that you are specifically in a competition with Jane, Janet, or whoever. Competing just means that you're doing the things that you would do to attract the man you already have. That's all he is saying.
we have another problem.
Well, seems though women are the ones that walking out of relationships 80+% of the time. We're not the problem.
Facts.
Okay. Ever?
Again, 80 to 90% of the divorces filed in the Black community are filed by Black women. You divorce twice as much as you marry. So we were the most married group of people prior to 1965. But I think this problem fits squarely in your generation, in my generation, as to why you decided to have a child before you had the bonds of marriage. You were told not to do that, but you chose
You're
to.
right. Mm-hmm.
So you permanently lowered your sexual marketplace value.
Mm-hmm.
And I will just be honest, it is incredible to men to think that a woman who's a single mother today can walk around like she's got leverage. Because mothers in my generation and previous, they were thrilled, ecstatic, grateful if a man would consider marrying them. Because you were not considered to be wife material once you had a child.
Mm-hmm.
And today it's like single mothers feel like I'm a package deal and you should still do more. Now that's on your side right there. That's not on my
No,
side. That's on your
that was
side.
me. That was me. That was me.
They fighting over that.
So the question becomes, fine. Did you go to college?
I did.
Sorry. Are you in the top 9% of earning Black women?
Nope.
I wouldn't say top
That means
9, no.
Okay, $75,000 or more?
Not quite there now.
Okay. Then what state do you live in?
I'm in Maryland, Baltimore.
Maryland.
Okay. So practically, ma'am, you ain't gonna have enough money to retire on.
Okay.
Marriage is not see, this is what I need women like you to understand. You the way you're speaking is though marriage is an option. If you don't make enough, I gave the example of a woman making of a person making $50,000 from age 25 to 65. Okay. And then getting a cost of living adjustment every year of 3%. And in that 40 years, they're saving $200 a month. That person would still have almost a $790,000 shortfall in their retirement. Meaning between 65 and 85, you're gonna need $2.9 million to live on. Unless you're making two plus incomes, you have a child and you can't do this. How do you plan on how's it supposed to work without a man?
Mm-hmm.
The numbers don't
So
work.
I need a man to survive.
Aha.
Okay.
Who's gonna okay. With one income and no social security to rely on, whatever you save is what you'll have to live on. Okay?
I'm following.
If you don't have $2.9 million, and let's be honest, most people don't have that. You don't even have half of that. Then who's supposed to
B.
take care of you? Where's the money going to come from?
I would think that, I mean, maybe not half of that I could get to, but by myself. But you're
Okay.
right, the other half, no.
So that means what?
I need a man.
Well, see,
She's funny.
that's what you ladies don't seem to get. Because if a man can't pay, we don't have government shelters in places. And you're starting to see more homeless women because the government cannot afford this. So talking about competing and not and this and that, I'm like, do you not understand that this ain't really an option for you? You need a man. That's why your grandmother and grandfather, they got somebody in the house, somebody to rely on, and you're going out here alone and not making the income of 2+ people. You have a child. So that example I gave was with a single person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, have you ever really thought about life this way?
No, no.
No.
Yeah, and that goes back to what he was saying originally about pretty privilege. That's what he talks about before he actually speaks to this woman. He talks about pretty privilege, and pretty privilege is rough. I know for women who they usurp their pretty privilege, and it really causes problems because they use it to get the person, but they don't realize that the pretty privilege doesn't keep the person. So they keep running into the same difficulties that they had before they got with the person. It's very hard.
No, my mother got divorced, but she
Mhm.
makes, I come from a good stock of family, so I just figured that I seen my mother do it, divorced, that it
What
can
does your
be
mother do for a
done.
living? What does your mother do for a living?
She's been an administrative, HR,
Okay.
um, has a
But,
PhD. She did it all.
Can you put on the
but
house?
that ain't, but your mom, okay. But the problem is, young lady, and
That's
this
not
is where the
easy.
women are failing y'all, telling you you could be out here with a
Mm-hmm.
kid and making decent money,
Yep.
that having a man is something that's an option to where you can decide to say, I don't want to compete. Okay. Where you really should be thinking, if I were
Mm-hmm.
lucky enough to
Yep.
find a man who I had to compete for, thank you, Jesus, because that means I will be able to put a roof over my head, food in my stomach, the medicine I need, and the quality of life until I die.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And I will do whatever it takes to make sure I keep that man here because I am blessed to have that. That's why all them other women want him, because they ain't going to even have half of what I have.
Yep.
So tell me why it's not worth trying to compete for again?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going to even have half of it?
You broke it down a
See,
different way. It's something to think about.
and well, and the thing to think about is you ladies treat men like we're optional
Yeah.
and like we're nothing to be like a man is nothing to have to work for.
Mm-hmm. That is true. That is
So I'm
true.
gonna
I've
ask you
done
a
that in
question.
yeah,
Do you feel like a man should have to work for you?
to some degree, yeah.
That was yes or
Do
no.
you if you were a product on the shelf next to other women, would you be average price? If you're a restaurant next to all other women out here, where are you at on the menu?
Mm.
Dollar sign, $2 signs, $3 signs, $4 signs, or $5 sign?
How dare you?
Humbly, I'll say 3.
Mhm. So that puts you right about in the Outback range.
What got
Applebee's.
I don't appreciate him talking about my Outback like that. I love Outback, and they got a good porterhouse steak. Come on now, Kevin. That was wrong.
Okay, no, give me 4. What's 4? Can I get a
That
Ruth
puts you
Chris?
that puts you
Rude, Chris.
around Papado, Ruth Chris area. It's expensive.
Okay.
There's, you know, people work an entire year to go to Ruth Chris on their anniversary, right? If they're lucky. I used to work at
I'm
Papa
sure.
Dough. So you expect a man to have to pay Ruth Chris prices for you, and you don't want to have to compete to keep Ruth Chris lifestyle. Ain't that
Nope.
something?
Okay, fair enough. It's fair.
So and how we got here is the whole notion of pretty privilege.
Message.
See,
Um,
told you, pretty privileged.
as an attractive woman, you've been able to live and negotiate on your looks. That ends.
Yeah.
That ends. Ask Halle Berry. Most beautiful woman 3 times in a row. She fuck around and had to have a baby by an underwear model
Mm.
and complain about child support. I think y'all need to start, in particular in our community, Black women really need a come to Jesus movement, a moment, and you really need to reframe how you look at your men. Because no other group of women looks at their men as not, I don't want to have to compete. Because I'm gonna say this and we can end it.
Okay.
Do you, I don't know if you've ever been around other groups of women, but I don't ever really hear other groups of women saying, I don't want to have to work to compete to keep my man. I see Becky and
Yeah.
Marisol and Mylene getting up in the morning running, and it's cold outside.
Mhm.
You go to the gym?
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
go to the gym? All right.
Yeah.
Be honest. Is the gym majority sisters?
Nah,
Can't
B.
be. 80% overweight.
Okay. No, it's
So
50-50 where I am, but
okay, but the point is, women in our community as single women, 80% are overweight. And 80% of that number is obese. That's before marriage and kids and everything else. We don't even know. But the point is, women of a group tell men what they think they deserve by their looks and their attitude. So we can't be surprised where men are basically are saying that they're asking you ladies what you bring to the table. And you can't be surprised that Black men, especially the higher value Black men, uh, y'all tend to get mad when they ain't with y'all.
Mhm.
She cutting out again. This is a good conversation though. I think it's something that as a group
She
that
did
we
like the Lauryn Hill album. All right, folks. Well, that's pretty much it there. So about to close this out. But before we close out, I got to take it to the braces. So let's do the braces. Relationship braces. Bringing hearts together, one heart at a time. 34-year-old mother of a 12-year-old in Maryland. I heard you say you don't want to compete. So what could I possibly tell you that could get you on the right track instead of renting a man? Okay, here's my advice to you if you're listening or if you have a friend that can tell you. So, what is your purpose? Don't be defeated. If you want to get married, work to being married. But right now, it sounds like you're just kind of renting a man. You said you got a boyfriend or something like that. And how long will he be around for? So you break up with him after a certain time. Maybe you say you're here for a few years. Let's say you together to 40, break up with him. You're not trying to settle down and get married. You with that person for a few years, you with this person for a few years. And before you know it, you're hitting that wall. What are you going to do then? So you really got to have purpose in your dating, in your relationship. It's got to be a real goal. It's got to be a common goal. And you got to deal with somebody who's open and willing to tell you what they're really thinking about, what they really want to do, what their real approaches and intentions with you. And then you want to hold on to that guy and compete the same way he should compete for you, for your love. You should compete for his. And those are the braces. All right, folks. Once again, that was another episode of the Truth is Still Straight podcast. I'm still Jonathan St. James. And with that, I am out.